Do you have that one thing in your life that you've always cherished? It could be a game, a hobby, maybe someone in your life, maybe even a character. Has it had an effect on what your values came to be? I'm sure we can all answer those questions now that we're older and can look back at things in a nostalgic light. I'm sure we each have a different answer of what that thing might be. For me, that was always the Sly Cooper franchise. I'm talking about the original trilogy by Sucker Punch, the same developers behind Ghost of Tsushima and Infamous. I wanted to shed some light on why the Sly trilogy is a certified classic and break down why it's so goated. In this video, I'm going to be covering the first game, Sly Cooper and the Devious Raccoonus. I suppose some context is in order. In 1999, Sucker Punch released their first game, Rocket Robot on Wheels, for the Nintendo 64. They originally had a difficult time finding a publisher. They reached out to Nintendo, but they got rejected. They didn't have any tool libraries or development kits, so they were developing the prototype game using an old PC. Soon after that, Sucker Punch showed up to E3 to show off the game and got attention from Ubisoft. They agreed to publish the game for them. Rocket received positive reception. After the success, Sucker Punch was inspired to make another platformer title, one that would create a very niche and loyal fanbase who still talk about it to this day. Enter Sly Cooper and the Devious Raccoonus, released in 2002, developed by Sucker Punch like I said earlier, and was published by Sony Computer Entertainment. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down each chapter in Sly and the Devious Raccoonus and discussing why the game is so iconic. Part 0. The Intro. We start with Sly, voiced by Kevin Miller, cloaked in the shadows, scaling his way like an acrobat through France. Then we see him. I gotta admit, the moment Sly is revealed on screen, I can already tell what kind of character he is. The blue gloves and black eye mask give away that he's a thief. And I know that it's in the title, but even if you took Devious Raccoonus out of the name, you would still know. Soon as we start up a new game, Sly opens up his Binocucom, influencing us to lock in. Then we get a conversation between him, Bentley, who's voiced by Matt Olson, and Murray, who's voiced by Chris Murphy. Sly is on a mission to steal a file from the police headquarters. Bentley is helping by providing information and hacking into the security system, and Murray is the getaway driver. I really like how they portray each character. Bentley laments how he's nervous even though he's safe in the team van, which is something Sly retorts to him about. After they all hang up from the call, immediately we start to hear all the diegetic audio. The dog barking, the police siren, and the wind all really create this beautiful ambience, especially with the visuals to back them up. The starry lit sky with the bright moon illuminating most of the horizon, the Eiffel Tower that draws the player's attention towards it. It's also alluring. I haven't even mentioned the music. It's a cool toned tune that reminds me of spy movies. Sly sneaks through an air vent and makes his way into Inspector Carmelita Fox, also voiced by Roxana Ortega by the way. Bentley hacks into the police headquarters security mainframe to get the code in the safe so Sly can rob the place. After he steals what appears to be his criminal record, I'm pretty sure it's not police procedure to just leave one criminal's record in a safe like that, but I'll let it slide. He leaves his calling card in the safe to mess with Carmelita, which indicates to us that they both have some kind of cat and mouse relationship. Then Carmelita shows up and their banter is just so memorable. Sly gloats to her about the fact that he escaped her in the past, while Carmelita responds with threats to zap him with her gun.
You foolish raccoon! I've caught you red-handed.
Ah, Carmelita. I haven't seen you since I gave you the slip in Bombay.
Which reminds me, you need to return the Firestone of India to its rightful owners.
And I was gonna give it to you as a little token of my... Hey, you know, that bazooka really brings out the color of your eyes. Very fetching.
You think? This pistol packs a paralyzing punch. You ought to try it. Might snap you out of your crime spree.
And give up our little rendezvous?
Plenty of time for that once you're safely behind bars.
Love to stick around and chat, but I just dropped by to pick up this case file. I think you've had it long enough.
Sly is just so flirtatious, yet condescending at the same time. It's hilarious. You really gotta love it, you know? Anyway, so after their little exchange, Carmelita gives chase, but Sly still escapes her anyway. And he gets in the van, and then we're greeted to a little comic book art style type of cutscene where we see like the characters kind of pop out of the pages. It looks really unique, and it sets the game apart from its other mascot counterparts.
Once again, my gang and I had given Inspector Carmelita Fox the slip. I was surprised to see how well she took it. Finally, the secret police file I'd been searching for all these years. With this, I could avenge my family and regain possession of our most valued treasure. It all began when I was just a kid, bouncing on my father's knee. You see, I come from a long line of master thieves who kept all their secrets of sneaking and stealing in an ancient book. The Thievius Raccoonus. Anyone who read it learned to be especially sneaky, which is why we specialize in stealing from criminals. After all, there's no honor, no challenge, no fun stealing from ordinary people. You rip off a master criminal, and you know you're a master thief. Well, on the night I was supposed to inherit the book, 5 visitors came unannounced to our door. My father fought to protect us, but the gang of villains known as the Fiendish Five overpowered him and ransacked our house until they found the Thievius Raccoonus. Our family's manual of thieving greatness fell into their filthy hands. They tore the book into 5 pieces and split it up, each villain disappearing to the farthest corners of the world to commit dastardly crimes. Broken alone, I was dumped at the town orphanage. There I met 2 guys who became my lifelong buddies and trusted crew. Bentley, techno genius and strategist supreme, and Murray, part-time driver and full-time burden. Together we pledged to track down the Fiendish Five, avenge my father, and steal back the Thievius Raccoonus. I knew I was about to face the toughest test of my life. On this mission, I would either become a master thief like my ancestors before me, or fail and allow my family name to bite the dust.
So, minor nitpick, but it was a little inconsistent seeing Sly with gold gloves in the cutscene, even though he wears blue gloves in the game. But maybe it was done on purpose to contrast his whole entire outfit in the cutscene. I'm not sure. So what were my final thoughts? Well, the intro is definitely unique compared to other mascot franchises. The intro here did an amazing job at setting the tone for the game. The themes that get referenced, like revenge and living up to expectations, give even adults something to relate to. The characters have really great synergy, and the mysteriousness of the Fiendish Five makes you want to play more to figure out who the members are and what they're like. So yeah, overall I think the intro was a 10 out of 10, and it hooks the player and makes them want to continue playing, and that's what an intro is supposed to do. Part 1. Tide of Terror. We start off with another cutscene of Sly and the gang hunting down the first member of the Fiendish Five, Sir Raleigh the Frog. He's revealed to have been hiding in the Welsh Triangle. Apparently, it's actually a real place, and it's known for having a series of UFO sightings, as well as mysterious disappearances. Kinda like the Bermuda. Anyway, Sly is studying up on him. Evidently, he was a posh, wealthy guy who grew tired of his life of comfort and riches. So he became a musketeer, robbing and thieving, but he went on a rampage, and he went mad. He became addicted to crime, and eventually he gained the attention of the Fiendish Five. They took him in as their chief machinist. So each time we play a chapter for the first time, we play an infiltration mission to get into the villain's base of operations for the chapter. I actually really like that formula because each level has unique and fresh mechanics each time you foil a villain in their operation. It truly feels like you're leveling up all while you're still getting one over on the bad guy. So with this mission in particular, Sly has to evade spotlights and security guards. The music will get more frantic once a guard sees you or when you get detected by the spotlights. We also get introduced to clue bottles and horseshoes. So how the horseshoe works is it allows you to take up to 3 hits if you have the horseshoe at level 2. The way you obtain horseshoes is sometimes on the overworld you'll find them, or you collect 100 coins. With the clue bottles, if you collect a specific amount of them in an area, you'll be able to access the vault, which will get you new abilities. Anyway, we soon discover that Sir Raleigh created a weather device on a mechanical blimp to make it rain in the area at all times, kinda like in Zora's Domain in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Bentley questions why Raleigh would want it to rain at all times, but I have an idea. I think he did it so that he could cause ships to crash along the shore. Then he would go steal the treasure from all of the wrecked ships. Also, not only that, but many people wouldn't be able to find his base of operations. That alone gave me the sense that he was going to be a threat, since it kind of reveals that he's cunning. Next, Sly finds a treasure key, which gets him access into Raleigh's hideout. So, I'm not going to go over every single level because it would get repetitive, but my favorite one was Into the Machine because the platforming was pretty advanced for it being just the first level. It had these electro spinning turbines that you have to time to get past, molten lava pits, and my favorite part was where these laser beams and flame furnaces, they fling you into the air and you got to avoid the furnaces as well as the laser grids. So fast forwarding to the climax of the chapter where Sly faces off against Raleigh. It's a pretty alright boss fight. Raleigh will jump repeatedly towards Sly to try to crush him, so all you have to do is just avoid him until he stops and then hit him. In the second phase it's the same thing, but the only difference is he will make the platform fall that Sly is standing on. Then in the final phase he will spin around and try to smack Sly off the platform with his tongue. Once you defeat him, he will tell you about Mugshot and where to find him.
You've beaten me! Well, gloat all you want, Sly Cooper. You're no match for Mugshot, my villainous cohort in Utah. You'll see. Mesa City is so well guarded, a snake couldn't slither in without setting off alarms.
One thing I will say about Tide of Terror is that it wasn't supposed to be the first chapter originally. The first chapter was supposed to be Fire in the Sky, which we will get to later. So what did I think about this chapter? Well, I like the villain, Raleigh. He kinda reminds me of the bad guy from Flushed Away. For the first boss, he's pretty easy. I found that the platforming levels before him were more difficult in it of themselves. I also want to point out the fact that Raleigh was one of the only villains who actually was evil from the start. The other character who's like that, we will see later, and I have a lot to say about him, so we will get to him when we get to him. Part 2. Sunset Snake Eyes. After shutting down Sir Raleigh's operation, Sly learned the Ninja Spire Jump ability. The next member of the Fiendish Five was Mugshot the Bulldog. He grew up as the runt of the litter, but he got tired of being picked on, so he kept on getting stronger until one day he could get revenge on everybody who did him wrong. Eventually, the Fiendish Five caught up with him and added him as the muscle of the group. He wasn't that much of a complex villain, and I think that worked out in his favor. It made him more compelling, and you could really sympathize with him. I liked his level better than Sir Raleigh's too. I'm a sucker for desert levels, so I was invested the entire way. Well, except for two of the missions. The first one was this defense mission where you use a turret to protect Murray from guards while he tries to grab a key at the top of a building. I didn't like it because if you accidentally shoot any of the explosive barrels, you'll hit Murray and then you have to start all over again. Just in general, you could hit Murray and then you have to start over. The second mission was this racing mission where you have to use the team van to win a race. Because Murray went to go grab some food and then he gets challenged by these dogs to a race. I hated this mission so much because the turning and controls for it are so sensitive. It's so irritating. And when you fail, you have to start all over again, like over and over and over again. I was at this mission for hours. Eventually, I finally got it though. And there's only one of these missions in this whole chapter, so it's not that bad. I personally just didn't like it though. Keep in mind that there's another one of these missions later on in the entire game also. And that one, I hated that one as well. But we'll get to that one when we get to that one. I wanted to also take the time to talk about the enemies in this game. There are two variants. There are flashlight guards and regular guards. Every chapter has guards that fit really well with the environment that they're in. For example, the flashlights in Sir Raleigh's area were squids, and the regular guards there were walruses. Walruses? Walruses. Some of the guards will throw stuff at you too, so look out for that. I think my favorite part in Sunset Snake Eyes was the Carmelita Chase mission. The platforming was really creative. In the end, there were structures that were destructible, and you have to be fast or else you'll fall. Going back to the guards though, this chapter features these Rottweiler dogs with Tommy guns. And I remember the casino mission with them. If you hit one of them, the other ones will bum rush you at that location, and they're really fast. They caught me off guard the first time I played it. I was over there thinking that I would be good if I just hit one of them. But no, they came charging at me and they got me. Another thing I wanted to bring up are the obstacles. I mean, I kind of talked about them with the Carmelita mission, but I mean just in general, the obstacles. This chapter has my favorite obstacles in the entire game. I really like the laser grids that switch sides. They keep you on your toes. Sometimes the lasers in Sunset Snake Eyes are just unpredictable. There was this one part with the roulette table, that part comes to mind. There was this one mission where you had to jump on a green spot on the roulette table 3 times. But the catch was that after you jumped on it the first time, the lasers will come in. And then they'll try to mess you up. They'll come in the random other, the other slots, and they'll try to mess you up. It was pretty memorable, and I really liked that part of the chapter a lot. It was probably my favorite part of the chapter, if I'm being honest. I know I sound like I'm glazing this chapter, but I gotta say, this chapter has some of the best songs in the entire game. It has bangers like Back Alley Heist, Two to Tango, Boneyard Casino. You're probably hearing that right now, actually. Rocky Start, Last Call, you name it. I urge you to look up the OST when you're on YouTube for this game if you haven't already. Earlier I mentioned the Carmelita chase scene, but I just wanted to highlight the banter between Sly and Carmelita. Just have a listen.
Well, look who just walked into my crosshairs. Sly Cooper.
About time you showed up, Miss Fox. Was getting worried about you. Thought you took a wrong turn somewhere back in Paris.
The only one making wrong turns is you, Sly. I'd suggest you surrender before I paralyze you with my good friend, the shock pistol.
Now see, a girl whose best friend's a firearm's got issues. A little dinner, a little dancing. I think I can help you out.
Sounds romantic. As long as you don't mind dining in jail.
Nah, I hear the service is lousy.
Once I catch you, you'll know for yourself.
Yeah, the dialogue in this game is just too goated. You gotta admit, it's pretty goated. Anyway, after Sly gives Carmelita the slip again, he faces off against Mugshot. Now, Mugshot is a pretty funny character himself. Just listen to how he says Thievius Raccoonus.
Laura Cooper? You know, that Thingus Rackamagookus had a lot of nice pictures, but way too many big words.
Anyway, for his boss fight, Mugshot is too big and strong to actually hit with Sly's cane. So what you gotta do is hit these mirrors, which will illuminate the crystals on the map. I'm pretty sure what it does is it makes like the sun burn his guns and then his guns explode, which damages him. I'm not really sure what you're doing exactly, but let me know in the comments. And then what happens, Mugshot will take an elevator to go grab his secondary guns. And so Sly, what he does is he takes an elevator and follows him up to the second level. It's basically the same thing, but the area is more restricted, so you run the risk of falling off the map. Anyway, hit the mirrors again and then Mugshot will get burned. He'll take another elevator to go grab another pair of weapons, and this time you're on the chandelier. I'm not really sure how him taking an elevator got him up to the chandelier, but whatever. So Sly takes another elevator and follows him up. And then this time he's on spires, so he can ninja spire jump to avoid Mugshot's fire. And then he has to hit all of the mirrors once again. And then that will burn Mugshot for the third time, and then he'll be defeated. So after Sly defeats Mugshot, he tells him about Ms. Ruby and how she's hidden away somewhere in Haiti.
You want all of that stupid picture book? You're gonna have to go down to Haiti and cross paths with Miss Ruby. And then believe you me, you don't want to be you.
So what did I think about Sunset Snake Eyes? Well, this was my favorite chapter. The only problems I had with it were those two missions I mentioned before. I think they were called At the Dog Track, which was the racing one, and Murray's Big Gamble, which was the turret defending mission. The music was very nice, and the chemistry between Sly and Carmelita was great. Casinos and thieves go hand in hand with each other, so it was a genius writing decision. Lastly, I want to talk about this story's pacing. Since we're about to start with the third chapter, I do have to say, the formula of Sly going to the bad guys' turf, then shutting down their operation and defeating them, and then learning a new ability does kind of make breaking down each chapter a little difficult. You know, cause I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over again, so I'll try to make the script easier to listen to. Trust me, in the last chapter, things will get a bit more varied. I apologize in advance for the next couple chapters if things get a little stale, and I appreciate it if you hear me out regardless. Part 3. Vicious Voodoo. So before we start with the analysis, let's really take a moment to appreciate the variety and artistry of the OST. I know I already brought it up in Sunset Snake Eyes, but just listen to this song for a few moments. Yeah, it really gives like haunted house vibes or something. I really love it though. So now, Sly and the gang have made their way into the Haitian jungle to track down Ms. Ruby. She was born into a family of mystics, but she couldn't make any friends because all the kids thought she was too creepy. She learned how to raise the dead and committed crimes with her talents in her adulthood to get back at the world for ostracizing her in her youth. Every Sly game has a scary chapter. Well, except for maybe 3, but one could argue that the finale with Dr. M was a little scary. But I digress. Ms. Ruby has a Cajun accent, I think, which makes her interesting and stand out compared to the other characters. The animals that they've picked for the Fiendish Five have also been very clever. An intelligent frog, which could be a foil to Bentley if you think about it. A strong and brooding bulldog could arguably be a foil to Murray, but that's kind of a stretch because we would have to be talking about Part 2 Murray, since that's when he becomes the brawn of the Cooper gang. And Ms. Ruby herself, you could argue, would be a great foil to Sly because if Sly never met Bentley and Murray at the orphanage, he would have been alone too, just like her. You see, when you put it that way, it becomes clear that Sucker Punch made all their decisions carefully. Anyway, I haven't really talked about Bentley yet. Bentley so far hasn't really had anything to do in the game at all, but his interactions with Sly have been pretty funny. Take a look.
Sorry, Sly, but this is one mission you will have to accomplish without me.
You don't believe in ghosts, do you?
Sure I do. My scanners have picked up verifiable paranormal activity. But that's not the problem. This swamp is oozing with disgusting mold and bacteria.
Suck it up, Bentley. We got work to do.
All right, then.
So after Sly breaks into Ms. Ruby's hideout, we'll hear Ms. Ruby make an announcement to her guards. I did forget to mention that they made them in Tide of Terror as well as Sunset Snake Eyes, but I wanted this chapter analysis to be different.
Wake up, you lazy bags of swamp gas! The Voodoo vibe is thick tonight. Let's take advantage of this powerful mojo and step up production. Keep piling those shining bones into the sink. We'll have an army of ghosts by morning and take over Mexico by the end of the week. Hear that, Voodoo children? Our family is about to grow.
We have this one mission where Sly gets chased by a giant hungry snake in the marsh. That was a highlight. After you collect all the keys, you use them to let the snake out, and the snake breaks down the gate that blocks your path to get to the second half of the hub area. That part was very memorable. There was this area with guards everywhere, and Sly has to run along a vine while using these spinning tiki masks to avoid their cones of vision. That was a highlight. And, this chapter was just aesthetically pleasing overall. There are skull and bones everywhere to go with the voodoo vibe. The torches and tiki masks are bone-chilling to look at. And even the candles are unnerving, especially the ones that are on the guards' heads. Yeah, that's right. The guards have candles sitting on top of their heads. I have no clue how it doesn't bother them, or if they are just biologically affixed to them. But yeah, even some of the climbable vines are made out of bones, which is pretty scary to think about. Bentley even says something about the waterfall in one of the levels.
Oh my god, a green waterfall overflowing with bones and body parts. I'm telling you, the health department's going to come down big time on this dump.
Some of the levels have these gravestone-looking pillars, and ghost enemies will spawn and charge after Sly, but after you destroy the grave, they won't spawn anymore. Some of the enemies have this flaming mask that they'll launch at Sly, but once you get close to them, they'll get nervous and stop attacking. Kinda like that one plant in Plants vs. Zombies. I just had one problem with this chapter though. Okay, no, never mind. It's two. There are these two levels that kinda made me mad. The first one is the Piranha Lake level, and the second is the Chicken level. So the reason why I don't like these levels is because they have time limits. So far till now, there have been missions that kinda suck, like the one in Raleigh's area with the crabs, and the two Murray missions, but these two take the cake. They're not too difficult, it's just annoying because of the time limit, and I had to do it over and over again, and it just made me mad. So how the chicken mission works is you have a time limit to defeat 50 chickens. But the catch is that there will be these two red chickens that carry bombs, and they will try to kill you. Sometimes you might accidentally smack the red chickens and die. The Piranha mission, how that one works is, you have a 2-minute time limit to light 25 torches using a flamethrower on a watercraft. However, the watercraft needs fuel, which you get by mowing down the local piranha inside the lake. But the piranha are very fast, so you spend way too much time chasing them down as a result. You'll run out of time more often than not, it's just very annoying. It's always been a pet peeve of mine when in video games there's a time limit for no explicit reason, and I just hate it. It just seems to me that since it was their first game, they were experimenting with ideas, and these were just some poor ones. In the meantime, Sly goes on to fight Ms. Ruby. Now this fight is really awesome. The gimmick behind playing Simon Says with Ms. Ruby is fitting because the chapter is about voodoo. The only issue with it is that it's not synced to the music if you're playing on newer consoles. Other than that, there's not much to say, just evade all of her attacks and hit her 3 times. Upon defeating Ms. Ruby, she will tell Sly where to find the next member of the Fiendish Five, the Panda King.
You certainly got some rhythm, raccoon. But it won't help you none if you're fixing to go after the Panda King. He's tough, with a capital T. You go poking around his stronghold in China, you're likely to get poked back.
Yeah, well, if he's anything like the rest of you, I think I'll manage.
So, what are my opinions on Vicious Voodoo? Well, this was my second favorite chapter in the game, just slightly behind Sunset Snake Eyes. The reason why I like Sunset Snake Eyes better is because the 2 missions that I don't like in it are more tolerable since they don't have time limits, like the 2 missions that I don't like in Vicious Voodoo. I do think Ms. Ruby is a more interesting villain than Mugshot, however. Anyway, overall I give Vicious Voodoo an 8 out of 10. The atmosphere is fire, and there are tons of memorable levels, and the jungle aesthetic is just outright scary. Part 4. Fire in the Sky. The next member of the Fiendish Five is the Panda King. He grew up with an interest in pyrotechnics. When he went to share his craft with the nobleman, he got shunned for having shabby clothes. So he took his rejection out on the world by weaponizing his fireworks and unleashing them on the cities below his mountain in China. I appreciate how ambitious he was before he turned evil. It just goes to show that people will remember how you treat them, which is a theme that anybody can understand. Anyway, with this chapter we actually see the Panda King bury one of the cities beneath in snow and ice, demonstrating just how heinous he is as a character. The infiltration mission also had a notable ending. We see this garden which contains a treasure key at the end of it, but the catch is that the garden is filled with flashlight guards. It reminded me of the infiltration mission in Vicious Voodoo. The reason why I like this part so much is because the Panda King, just like Ms. Ruby, actually attempted to secure the keys which are needed to gain access into his stronghold, rather than just have a linear path and then a key at the end of it, like in Sunset Snake Eyes and Tide of Terror. Anyway, this chapter has well thought out platforming just like every chapter before, but the one thing that sets this one apart from the others is the setting. I personally am not a fan of snow levels, but this chapter made it fun to play through by having martial art themed levels, like this one part where you have to sneak through a dojo. At first, I thought I was gonna have to fight the monkeys on the wooden pillars, but the game subverted my expectations, and instead of fighting them, you have to make use of the climbable statue in the back of the dojo, and then traverse around them, which really makes you feel like a thief who just snuck in. It also makes Sly seem so light-footed that even a group of trained ninjas can't detect him, and he's in and out in moments. It's a really fun part of the chapter, and I wish we got more of it in earlier chapters. I know we got the floating eyeball in Sir Raleigh's hideout, as well as the wrecking ball to get the key in Mugshot's turf, but I like this one the most. Oh yeah, and I also like how calmly Bentley talks about some of Sly's ancestors' reality warping abilities.
It was a challenge, but this vault's combination has got to be 667. Incredible! I never would have thought this was possible. Sir Augustine of Cooper's technique to briefly defy gravity. From now on, you should be able to pop right out of those bottomless pits you keep falling into, and you won't even lose a lucky charm.
We even get another Carmelita chase mission, and you know, any Carmelita chase mission I automatically approve of. There are two missions weighing this chapter down, however, and they're both Murray missions. The first one's called A Desperate Race. Basically what happens is Murray goes to a snow cone stand when he suddenly gets challenged to a race by a group of monkeys, and if he wins he gets a key out of it. It's literally the same plot as at the dog track in chapter 2, but it's even more annoying because the map has ice physics, and I can't stand ice physics. This mission sucks and I hate it. The second mission is called The King of the Hill. It's another Murray protection mission. The ending is annoying because for my first time playing it, I don't know, it just annoyed me. The alarm goes off right before Murray can grab the key, and there will be an onslaught of flashlight guards who will spawn in and just ambush Murray. That part of the mission goes on for way too long, and it just had me wondering, like, when is this gonna end? Other than those two missions, this is still an alright chapter. There's another mission that I never talked about until now because I wanted to prevent this review from getting stale. In this chapter, it's called Rapid Fire Assault, and in chapter 3, I think it's called A Ghastly Voyage. Basically, all you do is you drive this hovercraft with a gun on it and you blast anything that comes your way. It's a pretty brain dead mission, and that's why I had never talked about it. There isn't really much to say about it. I'm probably not even going to show any footage for it either. But going back to the Carmelita chase mission, I think it's called Duel by the Dragon. This is my favorite mission in the entire game. I still like the first chase mission a lot, but I think this one was just better. There are these interactable fireworks, which I think they were inspired by the Spyro games. Keep in mind, I'm planning on making a trilogy review of those soon. Not the originals though, I'm talking about the Reignited trilogy. More on that later though. But anyway, you hit the fireworks to proceed through the level while Carmelita tries to shoot Sly. My favorite part is the end where you have to wait for Carmelita to shoot the windows to try to hit Sly. Oh, and look at this part right here. Sly gets right next to her. She could have cuffed him right here, but instead she jumps away from him. Are you sure she really wants to catch Sly, or is she just being sarcastic? Lastly, I want to point out their back and forth here. Sly basically tells Carmelita that he's the good guy. He says that he's the one who's taking down the corrupt villains like the Panda King. And it's a really cool theme to explore. Even for adults, the idea of vigilantes and right and wrong, but Carmelita straight up doesn't listen. Take a listen.
Freeze, raccoon!
How can I freeze when my heart warms at the very sight of you?
Shut up, Ringtail. I don't know what you're doing here in China, but I'm sure it can't be good for whoever owns this place.
You must only have eyes for me if you're too blind to see what's going on around here.
All I see is a pathetic thief who's escaped justice for far too long.
I'm proud to be a thief, especially when I'm stealing from a vicious extortionist like the Panda King. Open your eyes, detective. These quaint temples are a front for an illegal explosives factory.
Don't try to confuse the issue. You criminals are all the same, and none of you can escape justice.
I don't know. The whole exchange gave me something to think about at least. There are some other memorable moments in the chase, like this part where Carmelita tries to blast the platforms in front of Sly, so you'll have to wait for another one to fall back down, and the very ending where you have to hit all 5 of the fireworks. Wait, did Sly kill Carmelita right here?
Watch your back, Cooper. When you least expect it, I'll be there.
Oh, never mind. As I'm editing this, I just realized that she jumped away before the statue head fell. That's besides the point though. The boss fight against the Panda King was very easy, but that's because, like I said before, Fire in the Sky was supposed to be the first chapter in the entire game. Either way, in the first phase, the Panda King will try to throw fireballs at Sly. Just run to the left and the right and jump to avoid them, then close the distance to him little by little. After you close in on him, he will try to hit Sly using his flame foo, so just avoid his attacks. I think if memory serves me, the first move he will try to hit Sly with was called Fiery Sweep. The second phase was the same thing, but after you close the distance to him this time, he will try to hit Sly with a Karate Chop. And in the final phase, the Panda King will try to hit Sly with a move called Fiery Wheel, I think. He will also try to mix in his other attacks in order to throw the player off. After you beat the Panda King, Bentley tells Sly that he discovered that the last member of the Fiendish Five is located in Russia.
Your skill with that game is unparalleled.
Sly, I did a cross-analysis of the metal used in that high-tech blasting vehicle, and it turns out it can only be found in one place. The Krakatoa volcano in Russia. That's got to be where we'll find the fifth member of the Fiendish Five. So get what you came for and let's get out of here.
I like the fact that Bentley tells Sly where the last member is and nobody says who it actually is. The reason why leaving it a secret is such a great choice is because the final member of the Fiendish Five was the one responsible for the whole entire plot of the game. You know, like, he's the main op. I have a lot to say about him, so I'll save it for the next part of this review. So what did I think about Fire in the Sky? Well, I think that Fire in the Sky was my third favorite chapter, just behind Vicious Voodoo. There were pretty memorable parts in it, like the aforementioned dojo level and the Carmelita chase level as well. I liked the journey that the Panda King took to go from rags to riches, only to get humiliated by the same people that he looked up to his whole entire life. It's insane sometimes that if you have an idol or somebody who you aspire to be like, only to realize their true colors, you find it the hard way that never even meeting them to begin with would have been better off in hindsight. It's a really sublime theme for Sucker Punch to tackle, and it's really something that adolescents and adults can relate to. That's why I think the Panda King is one of the best villains in the whole entire franchise. But I'll go over him more in the Sly 3 review, so please stay tuned for the next couple of reviews. Fire in the Sky was a very fun chapter, and I loved all the interactable objects like the fireworks and the huge gong in the dojo level. I also liked the way everything was presented, from the title card to the music, and just the tightropes that had those Chinese paper lanterns that explode after Sly passes over them. Even those firecracker elevator things. I give Fire in the Sky a 7.5 out of 10. I didn't like those two Murray missions. That's the only thing that I didn't like about this chapter. Other than that, it was a pretty good chapter. Part 5. A Cold Heart of Hate. So this chapter's intro sequence starts out differently compared to the other chapter cutscenes. Instead of the gang surveying the next villain, Sly mentions a mysterious bird-like shadow depicted in the background of all his ancestors' devious raccoonist pictures. The player also saw a steel-looking talon in the exposition cutscene, ripping out the last page of the devious raccoonist, just after the prologue. Sly highlights that the Spectre looks eerily similar to the police images of Clockwork. Then we see the title card. I love the title card so much. It's so enigmatic. All it shows are two red eyes locking in on you, almost like it's breaking the fourth wall. We get little to no information, no background, no character explanation for why Clockwork is following Sly's ancestors. Nothing. The intro didn't even begin with the team van speeding down the empty nighttime street like in the other cutscenes to give the indication that it wants to get straight to the point. No dilly-dallying. Anyway, this chapter doesn't have any hub area. Everything just happens sequentially. First, Sly uses the new minigun attachment that Murray installed to the team van so that they can invade Clockwork's volcano. Watch out for the landmines and owl clones flying overhead. There will also be this giant death ray of Clockwork's face that will try to beam the mountain above, which causes boulders to come raining down at the van. It's a pretty short segment, but I found it to be pretty rewarding once I completed it. Next, Sly finds that Carmelita got captured by Clockwork. My question is this though, how did Carmelita even get past the death ray, landmines, and Clockwork clones without a vehicle? Or did Clockwork capture her after she put the Panda King behind bars? But if that's the case, how did Clockwork even find her? As a matter of fact, how did Clockwork know that Sly had a crush on her? I mean, if he didn't know that, he wouldn't have captured her, he would have just killed her instead. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. My best guess is that Clockwork had a clone following Sly the whole entire game. That would make sense, but it kinda reveals Clockwork's incompetence if you think about it. That means that he could have ambushed Sly at any point in his adventure. The best time would have been after Sly was tired from fighting any of the other Fiendish 5 members. Like I said, I'm probably just looking too deep into it, so I'll stop thinking about it. Oh yeah, and the music in this chapter is hotter than the volcano. Have a listen. Yeah, it reminds me of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky a little bit. Let me know if you want me to review that game in the future as well. But I digress. After Sly attempts to save Carmelita, he gets trapped by Clockwork. Some kind of toxic chemical gets exposed on Sly, so Bentley has to hack into the mainframe to save both Sly and Carmelita. This is one of the many parts that causes Bentley to change as a character in the future. There will be more soon, but keep this part specifically in mind. It's a really basic hacking mission, however there is a degree of difficulty to it, since you'll see these digital Clockwork avatars that will throw red shuriken. If they hit you with them, you'll have to start all over again. If you get hit by any other obstacle, you'll only lose 1 tick of your health, so be careful. This hacking mission lays the groundwork for future hack missions to follow, so in that regard, it's a really good mission. After freeing Carmelita, Sly gets his cane stolen by one of Clockwork's clones, so Carmelita agrees to help Sly get his cane back. It's another protection mission where you play as Carmelita, and she explains how she got to the volcano and how Clockwork got her. She used her jetpack to get there, and shortly after she got captured. Well, that answered my question from earlier, and she must have known where Clockwork was using the police files or by following Sly. It all adds up. Anyway, Sly retrieves his cane and then goes on to fight Clockwork. One more thing I want to address is the comparison of the two sides of the law that Sly and Carmelita are on. I brought it up in Fire in the Sky, but it's even more apparent here because Carmelita agrees on a temporary truce with Sly until Clockwork is defeated. She also agrees to give Sly a 10-second head start before going back to chasing after him again. When Sly suggested saving Carmelita, Bentley suggested just letting her be, since she was always on their tail, hunting them down. But Sly insisted on saving Carmelita because he thought that her chasing them was fun. Take a look.
Careful, Sly! Those tiles are booby-trapped! You better get out of there!
Hold on, that's Carmelita. She looks trapped.
Serves that cop right! She's been dogging us from the start!
It's just a misunderstanding. We've got to free her.
Are you crazy, Sly? Clockwork probably stuck her there to trap you!
But if I don't do anything, Carmelita's doomed. Besides, stealing just won't be any fun without her.
Sly, your ridiculous raccoon logic sends shivers up my shell.
I like the level of altruism Sly shows here. Even though he knows that it's a trap, he still decides to try and help Carmelita anyway. And Carmelita recognizes this, and like I said, she agreed to help Sly take down Clockwork. As a matter of fact, in Sly 2, Carmelita is the one who puts down Clockwork for good. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'll talk more about the deeper meaning behind that gesture in my next review. We have one more platforming level before the final battle with Clockwork, and it's pretty cool. You have to avoid these electro traps and make sure you time your jumps properly so that you don't run out of time since the death ray is sinking. Then Sly obtains the jetpack, which he uses to go and fight Clockwork. So for the final fight, Carmelita will shoot Clockwork in some spots occasionally. After she shoots whether it be a wing, the tail feather, his head, his talons, Sly has to shoot that area. But you only get a set amount of time to hit the glowing spot. When there aren't any glowing spots, it's because Clockwork is attacking. His attacks are these energy blasts that are easy to dodge. In the second phase though, Clockwork will throw these electro rings at Sly. All you have to do is position Sly in the middle of the rings to dodge them. In the final phase, you do some platforming towards Clockwork in the lava pit, There are some tricky obstacles, but with some precise jumps it's pretty easy to get to him. Then all you have to do is smack Clockwork a bunch of times until his health depletes, and then you got him. I wanted to take a moment to talk about Clockwork's character and his motivation. He hated the Cooper clan because he was jealous of them, so his plan was to replace all his organic body parts with steel soulless components, so he could live on and hunt them down for the rest of their lineage. Take a look at what he says about Sly's family when Sly asks him why he didn't kill him on that night.
I don't get it. You're so familiar with my family. You must have known my father had a son. If you hated the Coopers so much, why did you let me live when you stole the Thievius Raccoonus?
Because I wanted to show the world that without your precious book, the Cooper line was nothing.
Yeah, so that basically proves that he was jealous of the Cooper clan the whole entire time. But take a look at how Sly replies.
Well, there's where you're wrong. The Thievius Raccoonus doesn't create great thieves. It takes great thieves to create the Thievius Raccoonus.
Enough, Sly Cooper. It ends here. I will finish you like I finished your father. Then the Cooper line will be erased and the only monster thief will be Clockwork.
Yeah, so he kind of reminds me of the Reverse Flash in a way, just because he's fueled by jealousy and hate. Overall, he's a really great villain because he's the only one besides maybe Sir Raleigh who was irredeemable. I do admit though, one thing like I mentioned before about Sir Raleigh that makes them both similar is that they were both evil from the start. Clockwork doesn't even get arrested or see the error in his ways. He doesn't even get destroyed completely, which we will get to in the next review. Oh, spoiler. So, what did I think about Cold Heart of Hate? Well, from a gameplay perspective, I thought it was too easy for a final level. The Clockwork boss fight in particular. The Carmelita rescue mission also, if you had 2 lucky charm horseshoes, you could just damage boost through the booby-trapped carpet. The part where you get to play as Carmelita to help Sly get his cane back was really fun though, and it didn't overstay its welcome. But the main thing that drove the game high was the plot and storytelling. They kept Clockwork's backstory a mystery until you fought him, which made the payoff to his reveal so much more impactful. It sort of reminded me of how Avatar: The Last Airbender made Fire Lord Ozai a mystery all throughout the show until Aang faced off against him. If your game is getting compared to Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know you're doing something right from a narrative perspective. I did enjoy the music as well, but not quite as much as chapters 2 and 3. And the title card was pretty dope as well. I think I gave A Cold Heart of Hate a solid 7.5 out of 10. Definitely not my favorite, but it was still very good. Part 6. Epilogue. Upon defeating Clockwork, we get a nice cartoon cutscene that closes out the entire game. Sly acknowledges the help of Murray and Bentley. We get to see how Sly used his 10-second head start, and the game even sets up for the next game just after the credits. It was a great way to segue into Sly 2 because we get to see the Clockwork Eye light up scene redrawn in Sly 2 to signify its relevancy. Overall, this is a great epilogue. Now let's jump and hit the circle button to hear what my overall opinions were on the game as a whole. I'll go over what I didn't like first so we can end it on a positive note. So I don't think this game is the best game in the entire trilogy. There were clear level choices that seemed like they weren't fully fleshed out, like the racing missions, the protection missions, and the 2 time missions in chapter 3. There was also a crab mission in Sir Raleigh's area that I was not a fan of as well. Murray was kinda lacking as a character. I'd admit he did do a few things to drive the plot, like get keys in the turret protection missions and the racing missions like I mentioned. But yeah, he's just kind of lacking. The final level is lacking when it comes to difficulty, and I do admit it offers versatility. The problem is you can just cheese some of the platforming in it, like the Carmelita rescue mission, that's what comes to mind. Murray will get more fleshed out in the second game, so you know, that's kind of like not a bad thing, and it's also a good thing, so I would put that in the mid-tier part. I didn't really have a mid-tier part to put into this, I just was gonna say I was gonna highlight the good and the bad. But other than that, I think that's everything. Now for the positives. So the themes that Sly tackles are solid because, even adults can relate to them. The characters are A1, the level design is very good. The vision was definitely there, the writing and voice acting is next to perfection. The music is atmospheric and ambient, the characters are quotable, Sly was a great character, the villains were awesome, and overall I just had a really fun time playing, especially when there were interactable environments. Oh yeah, and the cartoon art style aesthetic sets this game apart from the other mascot cartoony games around the time. It's a real shame that it didn't get the fan base that it deserved at the time. Nowadays though, more people are really discovering it, and that's a great thing. In my next review, I'll be reviewing the Sly 2 Band of Thieves. Sly 2 is my favorite game of all time, I'm not gonna lie to you, so I apologize in advance if I seem a little bit biased in the next one. I said earlier that I endeavor to make a Spyro trilogy review. If that doesn't release soon, I do apologize. These scripts do get very long, so my bad on that. But still, expect more content from me, especially since now I'm unemployed, so I have nothing but time. Anyway, if you made it this far, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video.